My name is Rachel Jameson, and I'm trying out to be a blueprint instructor. And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain two questions from the logical reasoning part of the LSAT. So unfortunately, I have kind of the poor person's version of a whiteboard here, working on a public interest lawyer salary, so I wasn't able to get one. So if you've got a book, you can follow along in that, and I'll make it as clear as possible of what I'm doing back here if you can't see it. Okay, so when approaching the LSAT, the most important thing to remember first of all is that every single word on the LSAT is important. Okay, it's not like when you're talking to one of your friends and they give you, a 10-minute long explanation for something that could be explained in 30 seconds. No, every single word they put on here is important. Okay, that means you have to read very carefully, make sure you understand everything. Okay, nothing is extra. So we're going to start. We're going to approach question number 1. And our first step, we're going to go step by step. Our first step is making sure that we understand what the passage of the question is saying. Okay? So let's take it from the beginning. Number 1 says, this summer, Jennifer, who has worked at KVZ Manufacturing for just over 3 years, plans to spend with her family the entire 4 weeks of paid vacation to which she is entitled this year. Anyone who has worked at KVZ Manufacturing for between 1 and 4 years is automatically entitled to exactly 3 weeks paid vacation each year, but can apply up to half of any vacation time that remains unused at the end of 1 year to the next year's vacation. Whoa, okay, a lot of words there. Okay, so this might seem daunting at first because it sounds pretty confusing. Okay, if that's the case, we need to break it down a little bit, make sure we understand each piece. Okay, so let's go back and look at the first sentence, make sure we understand what's going on with all of that. We got a lot of numbers that we're working with here. Okay, so Jennifer's working for this company. She's been there for just over 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to make a few notes here. So Jay's been there for over 3 years. Okay? She's going to spend a 4-week paid vacation with her family. She's entitled to this 4-week vacation. So she's got 4 weeks of vacation. I'm jealous. I think she's a lucky girl. Not everybody gets 4 weeks of paid vacation. Okay. So anyone who's worked at KVZ for between 1 and 4 years is automatically entitled to exactly 3 weeks paid vacation. Okay, so if you've been there between 1 and 4 years, you get 3 weeks. Okay, so we know some things so far. We can easily combine this information we have together. Okay, so we know anybody who's been there between 1 and 4 years gets 3 weeks paid vacation. We also know Jennifer's been there for more than 3 years. Okay, so if we put that together, if anybody who's been there between 1 and 4 years gets paid vacation, and Jennifer's been there 3 years, we know that Jennifer gets 3 weeks paid vacation. She's entitled to that. Okay? However, we also know that the passage is telling us that Jennifer this year has 4 weeks, so there must be something special going on here. Let's keep reading and figure out what's going on. Okay? So she can apply up to half of any vacation time that remains unused at the end of 1 year to the next year's vacation. Okay? So we know that Jennifer got some kind of time from her last year. Okay? We know that she needs 1 week, right? We're doing some basic math here. I know we all want to go to law school to avoid math, but pretty simple. I think we can handle this. So if she needs 4 weeks, she only gets 3 weeks. She needs 1 week. Okay, so she needs 1 week from somewhere. Okay? If she only gets half of what she's kept, then she's going to need at least 2 weeks left over, right? That's what we know so far. And it's okay if you're thinking, wow, if I did this myself, I'd never figure this out. Okay? It's okay to work slower. We're just starting out here. But just the important thing is to make sure that you understand each part of this passage before you move on. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at the question part. Okay? It is vital. It's really important that you understand what the question is asking. If you don't understand what the question is asking you to do, you're going to get it wrong. Okay, so what's this asking us? If the statements above are all true, which one of the following must also be true on the basis of them? This must part is very important. This isn't asking what can happen, what probably will happen, what might happen, what must be true. Okay, so if we know everything about Jennifer up here is correct, then which we also know for sure 100% will happen. Okay, any answer choice that maybe or it's a possibility it won't happen, that's not correct. Okay, so we understand the passage, we know what the question is asking. Next step in our analysis, next step is we're going to eliminate the wrong answers. Okay, remember that show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where they had the very easy questions basically up front. And it would be something like, which one of the following is not a vegetable? And they would give you answer choices like carrot and turnip. And one would be something absurd like the moon. Okay, we're looking for answer choices like that. Okay, stuff that we can just eliminate, that we know, nope, that's not correct, or we know that it's just completely irrelevant. Okay, anything that might seem like might be the answer you're not really sure of, we'll keep around. All right. So let's start by looking at answer A. Okay, answer A. Jennifer did not use 2 weeks of the paid vacation time to which she was entitled last year. Sounds plausible. Let's leave that one around for now. Answer B. If Jennifer continues to work for KVZ Manufacturing, she will only be entitled to 3 weeks paid vacation next year. Sounds plausible for right now. We'll leave that one too. Let's look at answer C. The majority of KVZ's employees use each year all of the paid vacation time to which they are entitled. Really awkward phrasing here, meant to throw you off, but let's look at this key word here. The majority of KVZs. Do we know anything about what's going on with the majority of KVZ's employees? We know what Jennifer's doing. We know that people who've worked between 1 and 4 years, how much vacation they get. We don't know if most of them are taking it, what they're doing. We don't know if they're all workaholics, okay? We know nothing about that. So C is out because it's not something we know must be true. Maybe it is. Who knows? But we don't know for sure, so it's out. Let's look at D. Last year, Jennifer took only 1 week of the paid vacation time to which she was entitled. Also, sounds possible. We'll leave that one around for now. Let's look at E. KVZ Manufacturing sometimes allows extra vacation time to employees who need to spend more time with their families. Keep in mind what we're answering here. We're answering something that must be true. Okay? Is this something that must be true? It'd be nice if it were. But nothing we know about this passage means that answer E must be true. Okay? It's a nice explanation if it is true, but we're not sure about that. So C and E are gone. We're down to 3 choices. Making progress here. Okay. So what I noticed going through these is that both answers A and answers D were kind of similar. They're both talking about how much time she has left from last year. So I'm going to leave those until the end because I want to look at both of those further. Let's go back to answer choice B and see what we can find out about answer choice B. So if Jennifer continues to work for KVZ Manufacturing, she will only be entitled to 3 weeks paid vacation next year. There's an easy way to rule this one out. Okay, so we know that Jennifer has been working for KVZ for more than 3 years. We know that after you work there for 4 years, you're outside of what we know so far about vacation, okay? If you work there between 1 and 4 years, you have 3 weeks. After 4 years, we don't know. Maybe you have 8 weeks. Okay, so we don't know for sure what kind of vacation Jennifer has next year. B is gone. It doesn't have to be true. We don't know. So let's go back. We're down to A and D. We got a 50-50 shot. We can make this into a 100% shot. A. Jennifer did not use 2 weeks of the paid vacation time to which she was entitled last year. We already determined that this actually has to be true, okay? We know that she's going on a 4-week vacation. She's entitled to it. She has 3 weeks from just being at the company. We know that she has to get 1 week from somewhere. In order to get that 1 week, she needs to have 2 times that amount stored from previous years. So she must have 2 weeks stored. A is our correct answer. However, D also sounds really similar, right? Like when you first read it, you're like, last year Jennifer took only 1 week of the paid vacation time to which she was entitled. It's really easy to think that sounds a lot like A, but they're very different, okay? If in the LSAT you find yourself thinking, wow, two things really sound alike. You probably didn't read everything in the question or you're missing something, okay? And that's what's happening here, okay? So let's look back at our facts here. We know that she has to get a week of vacation time from somewhere. So we know that she has to have 2 weeks free. So it's easy to assume then that she had her 3 weeks from the past year. She only took 1 week, and she had 2 weeks left to save. But is that necessarily true? Maybe she had weeks saved from the years prior to being at the company. Okay, we don't know for sure. We don't know anything about what she did in her past here, the past few years. Okay, so maybe it's possible she was a workaholic the first few years, saved up some vacation, and last year she had a bunch of weeks to use. But what we do know is that there were 2 weeks that she did not use last year. And that is why A is the correct answer, and we can completely eliminate D. Okay, now it might seem a little moving fast, but just make sure that you're processing all of the steps to how we get to the correct answer. Okay? Let's move on to number 2 now. Number 2, a little shorter question passage, so maybe a little bit more straightforward, maybe not. Okay, so number 2, the average length of stay for patients at Edgewater Hospital is 4 days compared to 6 days at University Hospital. So whenever I see some numbers or stuff like that, I just like to note it down so I don't forget. So we got Edgewater, 4 days, the generically named University Hospital, 6 days. Okay? So since studies show that recovery rates of the 2 hospitals are similar for patients with similar illnesses, University Hospital could decrease its average length of stay without affecting quality of care. So this one's a little more straightforward to understand. Okay, so people with similar illnesses are staying at these 2 hospitals different lengths of times, but their outcomes are pretty similar for those people. Okay. Let's move on and look at the question. The reasoning in the argument is most vulnerable to criticism on the grounds that the argument... Lots of words here again. It sounds kind of complicated, right? Most vulnerable to criticism. What are they talking about? These are fancy words for just saying, like, what's the flaw here? What's the problem with what they're